All right, if you're just tuning in, you're on to this on IT, of course, the morning edition. Daniel Fraser Sekebama is my name. And of course, it's a privilege and great honor to have a great analyst with me in the studio. I'll be introducing them, and what we are looking at this morning is the build-up to the 2023 elections and voters registration. We will be joined by Barrister Adams Aliu, a constitutional lawyer and a notary public of Nigeria and former senior advisor on legal matters to Okay, sitting next to him is a human rights activist and of course somebody we've always run to each time we need someone on set. It's nobody but Solomon Idiogbe.
Very good morning, Daniel, and yours are very good morning this morning.
Okay. And of course, sitting very close to me is no other person than Matthew Idiagese, a legal practitioner.
Thanks for having me.
I wonder how I missed this one.
No, it's okay.
It's normal, right? Okay, now let's get talking this morning. I'm going to be starting with Barrister Adams Aliu. Now, Festus Okoye of the INEC, he actually alleged that the 11th hour syndrome is one of the reasons why we have this large turnout in the voters' registration. Now, do you think the 31st July deadline that was given was in place? Do you think there should be an extension? What is your thought on that?
Well, this is a constitutional matter and there are provisions. The issue of INEC is encapsulated in the third schedule of the Constitution, Part 1, Section 15, subsections A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. All those ones concern INEC. Basically, in the present instance, which you highlighted, we are looking at subsection E, which provides that INEC is to register prospective voters so that they be qualified to vote in the election of president, vice president, governor, deputy governor, Senate, House of Rep, and Houses of Assembly. As usual, INEC gave out a long-term notice. The registration of prospective voters, that those who are now attained majority, was in May 2022 and was supposed to end June 30, 2022. By June 30, the 11th hour syndrome waiting for the last minute was on protest here and there.
And there was an extension.
It was elongated to July 31. July 31 came and went now. We are in August, people are protesting that there is no time to register. Even if you put 10 years, some people must still drag their feet.
But don't you think, since it's a continuous voters registration,
yes,
don't you think there should be a kind of window that should be opened where people
That's
can
why
just
there
work?
was a window in May,
Okay.
in June, and in July.
Okay.
The window cannot be ad infinitum. It cannot be forever.
So constitutionally?
Yes, they are okay because they have many things to do. They are to prepare for the ballot papers. They are to monitor campaigns. Campaign will start in September. There are many things. You don't register till voters till the eve of the election. Registration is just one of the seven. There are many things to do, and I think 3 extensions are enough.
Something is telling me that you want to say something about that.
As much as I agree that it's a constitutional right of INEC
Okay.
to regulate, register, to conduct, announce elections and election processes, I think that INEC itself has failed in most of its duties as it relates to the issue of registrations and
You're talking about their failure now. In what aspect?
in the area of card registration and issuance of same.
Okay.
Whereas it is said that INEC registration is a continuous voters registration. Only and only if the registration was a continuous process, we won't be having this issue of extension and non-extensions. Now look at the period they allegedly gave. They gave us May to June It was Sarah Paul who I went to court.
And that's you then.
And it was at the end of the court's battle, they now left it at, I think, added 1 week for July 31st. Now, look at it. INEC, if they were sincere, I'll start from behind. You said we were opening your voters registration portal from May to June, and we are going to have continuous voters registration, and we're going to spread out to the north and south of the country. Fine. And then what did we get? You see registrants coming out in their numbers, rather than INEC having up to 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing stopped INEC from having 10 machines. Because now it is not polling units anymore. You know, when he talks about polling units, within certain catchment areas, you have
people just go there and register, get the separate.
Now, we are talking of registration centers, now, which means ordinarily they have more machines that they are not using. That should be deployed into the system so that more persons can register. I'm sure you followed the news, where you have over 1,000 persons wanting to register, and at the end of the day, would have only been able to register like 15 or 20
You have one INEC representative.
And the machines are not functional. Sometimes they come with one. You saw like the one that happened in Arandego, where they said a certain ward was supposed to have 2 machines or so, and another ward came to collect it and added to theirs, whereas this ward already had gone to discuss with INEC to help them bring 3, and instead of bringing 3, they brought 2, and while the 2 was working, after an hour, they removed it and took it to another area, leaving 1, and the one that they left was not functional. It happened again and again. I'm just giving that as an instance. Now, I'm sure if INEC was only able to deploy enough machines and personnel to the different areas where people were registering, they have been able to cover huge number.
Okay.
1. 2, if INEC registration was a continuous process, not starting in May. People have always, it's just like this NIN. Yes, we know that there's this 11th hour rush by Nigerians, yes. But since it's a continuous voters registration, if they had let their offices open, and they are not, see, you know this Nigerian syndrome, you go there, you want to register, nobody is there to answer you. And when they come, you do it at their own pace. People paid to register. At the end of it all, the processes couldn't actually go as it ought to. And one would have expected INEC to give extra time. Although we know that INEC also will need time to clean up the register because
just like Barrister said.
That's why I said, yes, I agree. But to a large extent, the problem is with INEC because their voters registration is not continuous.
Okay, let's quickly get to Barrister Matthew now. 2023 is around the corner, the elections, and so many PVCs are yet to be claimed. Who is to be blamed? Is the INEC or those who refuse to go pick their PVC?
The system failure is to be blamed for that. Institutions should be up and doing. You don't transfer blame on victims. The people registered to vote, they sincerely desire to enjoy their franchise. So you cannot now turn around and say they refuse to collect their. When you labor to acquire a tool, and they now say you refuse to pick the tool, it doesn't make sense logically. I think INEC should be wholly blamed for that. Reason being this is a modern era. Most of these things can be delivered at doorstep. Calls can be put across to people registered.
SMS can be sent.
Yes. INEC does not make provision for those modern activities to contact those whom they claim have registered and are not forthcoming. Most of the people don't even know whether the cards are ready. There's no communication.
Do you think it's due to the large number of those who
registered? It can't be large number. We all have our ATM machine issued by bank. We have it. When it expires, they call you. They renew it. There's constant communication. INEC is solely established for this purpose. Bank is established for several purposes, including loan and all the tracking of loan, monitoring of investment, and all of that. Customer service. INEC duty is to conduct election. There's no other duty they have to perform. And there's provision made for them in the budget. Big money is allocated to them year in, year out.
So the collections of PVC now?
INEC has no reason to keep PVCs in their offices and be saying people have refused to come. Who are these people? Are they ghosts? They have all the data, the biometric of the people registered. They have their addresses. They have their units.
Their phone numbers.
They have their phone numbers. They have their biometrics. So basically, getting to reach them is not a problem to INEC. It's refusal to reach them that is the problem. INEC feel they are doing the public a favor. They don't see their duty as a responsibility that they owe the citizens and the constitution of this country.
Okay, let's get back now.
Let INEC be sending SMS to people who are here to call FBCs, even make phone contact. DSTV company, they call you when this is expires. Subscription is going to expire next tomorrow. Are you? There should be customer service desk on INEC offices. Okay. They should not sit back like KBC and say, well, we have done our best. If we don't, we have done enough. So
if all these are put in place, we will not have dumped
PVC will not be dumped
in their offices.
They know the unit. They can deliver it even by courier.
Okay. All right. You are a constitutional lawyer. And recently, we wake up to stories of seeing PVCs in large numbers being kept or abandoned in some areas in the communities. Recently, I saw a video where PVCs in very large numbers were seen in a gutter. Someone who was actually clearing the gutter discovered those PVCs. And there are so many other instances where we've seen cases like that. Now, constitutionally, can one sue INEC for such acts? Let's say, for instance, I found out that my PVC is part of those ones that were found.
Well, constitutionally, an aggrieved person can sue. He can sue under negligence and dereliction of duty. But be that as it may, Nigerians forgot that it is their basic duty and responsibility to get registered and get your material voluntarily. It is because it is optional in this country. That is why Nigerians are lackadaisical about voting. They just woke up now that they have had a name. Because of that name, they want to go and register. It ought not to be so. You are to register, have your PVC. Whether Tom is contesting, Dick is contesting, Harry is contesting, it does not matter. In other climes, other countries like Belgium, voting and registration is compulsory. If you don't vote, you'll be tried and jailed in Belgium. It's a country, civilized European country. In 1979, under Latif Jakonde as governor of Lagos, he put a law. You must register, you must go and vote. He did not specify that you must vote for UPN or AG or SNC. If you show your card that you have registered to vote, your children can attend school in Lagos. You can then your wife can take store in the markets. Without showing your voter's card, Latif Jakonde did not allow you to do it. So Nigerians, instead of going to do their duty, they wait. They say they have heard of a name. That name want to contest the election. Because of that, all of them are rushing. It ought not to be so. Whether Peter is contesting or Paul is contesting, go and register. They did not. Now, ipso facto, they have registered, and INEC did not communicate as you were asked.
And these PVCs were dumped.
Has right to sue INEC for dereliction of duty, which will be looked at by the appropriate quarters in the court, and justice will be done. We should not always wait till the 11th hour. Your responsibility is your responsibility. If you register, whether you like to vote that day, whether you vote for Peter or Paul, does not matter. But don't always wait. The scenario in question is that some people are claiming that they have heard of a name that will contest because of that.
Is anything wrong with that?
I have registered before.
Is wrong with that?
Okay, I will come to you, Barrister Matthew. I know you have a counter.
I want to respond.
Okay, quickly before we get to Solomon. Go ahead, Barrister Matthew.
Yes, my co-discussant just said he was being emphatic that people should not have a reason to register to vote. I disagree. Every human endeavor is driven by interest.
Okay.
Nobody does anything without interest. You want to pick up a job because you're interested in the job. That's why you have job offer. And the option of rejecting is there. That I decline. You can even withdraw from school. I don't want to go to school again, even as a student.
Because it is optional in Nigeria.
Yes, it has to be.
If it were compulsory.
Right is normally optional. everything that has to do with human rights is optional.
Even in the Bible.
Yes.
Okay, so draw your point now.
What I'm saying is that
countries where voting and registration is compulsory.
Barrister Leo, he has the floor now.
That is authoritarian arrangement.
Okay, so
because even in the US,
okay,
the headquarters of liberal democracy, not everybody there are registered voters. Some don't even vote. If you look at the percentage of those who are registered and those who vote, even in France, there was this complaint of voters' apathy.
okay,
Youths were no longer interested in even participation. It was a very major issue there. You have to give voters incentive. People incentive to believe in the system. In Nigeria, there was total loss of confidence in the system, electoral system. This new electoral act that was recently enacted was the major incentive. The people are now seeing the reason why they have to go and participate. Before now, the free votes were no longer counting. You can patronize a system that you have no confidence in. And again, you mentioned that the people are beginning to hear, yes, if charismatic candidates are on the ballot in the contest, you should expect people to be attracted. Yes, okay. Yes. It's like a Mandela in South Africa. When a Mandela on the ballot, South African they sit at religious duty. If you have put the DMI on the ballot, I'm sure many people will say, let him just go and put himself there. We don't even believe in him. He will normally rig himself into power. So, participatory democracy is driven by people's confidence in the system. Okay. And this has been inspired by the new electoral acts and certain political development.
Which we must give, like must give to the president.
Yes, and certain opportunities have arisen where we now have options, apart from two major parties. We're always bossed to a corner before now.
So we have a third force.
There's a third force. Now, there is a people-driven movement.
Okay.
And you do not have to say, why are you now interested? Their interest is born out of their conviction. And it is natural for people to follow where the heart is.
Okay, talking about following where the heart is, let me come back now to Solomon. Now, some of these discovered PVCs were alleged to be discovered in some regions of the country. Now, do you think it is politically motivated, or is it meant to marginalize some parts of the nation come 2023?
Both. Politically motivated and perhaps targeted at certain region or to have.
Because to an extent, we've not seen this played out in some part of the country.
Especially the northern part of the country.
You actually said, you say that.
But let me tell you, and I also want to disagree with you when you say we should give it thumbs up to the president. No. Okay. We all knew or were aware of all the...
But the Electoral Act was signed during his administration.
Did he sign with
it was still signed. It was still signed.
No, did he sign with his clear act?
But it was still signed.
There were no issues. It was false.
But wasn't it signed?
What? Over the issue of we want to override, we don't want to override. See, Daniels.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It is your duty to call discussants and then have issues discussed, participate. When the discussants are now the one forcing you for a discourse, it's abnormal. That's the situation we find ourselves in the issue of electoral act.
Okay.
Mr. President saying you must go and remove this before I sign, you must add this before I sign, you must include this. Even after signing, he still went to court.
Yeah.
So you can't give it a thumb up. Just that Nigerians got to a point, even the so-called legislators who are involved in the preparation of the documents also have come to realize at the point that they are being used. And at the point are not deciding, or we're not deciding to say, let us try to do it a little bit right. So let's put the president aside and answering your questions, whether
if it is politically motivated
or it's targeted. And I said both. Like Pastor Macha rightly put it. Issues are interest-driven. Now, I saw Annette saying they are going to investigate. You always investigate things in this country, you don't get the blueprint.
Maybe investigation is still on, you don't know.
Bros, can anybody have access to INEC card, if not INEC staff?
That's a major question.
Can anybody have access to their machines, if not INEC staff? Do you even know how it is done? Do you know the processes of production of INEC cards? Can Pastor Matthew today tell you that he knows how INEC produce their card and he's responsible for the issuance of INEC cards?
With their serial number. Security numbers.
Security numbers. With units, locality, names, and biometrics.
So how come these PVCs get their way
Got
out of the office?
It was found in the premises, in the gutter of a highly placed politician in Nigeria. And you're coming
Did you independently verify this information?
That's what on the news. I'm quoting what was on the news.
Okay.
Now, in the end, you're coming to tell us that INEC is not corrupt. Of course they are. Look, you can't continue to do same thing, same way, and expect a different results. Mr. Adam said just now that people are coming out because of it. Yes, because they are tired. Until recently, Nigerians in an electoral year are always led between the devil and the deep blue sea. With all due respect, they are led between two political parties because all the other political associations will always queue up behind these two political giants, and Nigerians are left between choosing a lesser evil, and sometimes even the higher evils get their ways in. Now we have a third option. So Nigerians is now left with, let us take a third option or take from the lesser evils as it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So putting it right, I think that what was good for Peter is also good for Paul.
Okay.
Now, Nigerians are suffering. We don't have money to pay ASU. We don't have money to ratify issues. I mentioned some time ago, Edo State does not have a railway system. Yes, Nigeria is building a railway system to Niger. Edo State is suffering, for instance, from a lot of financial issues. They've not given us bailouts. Our government decided to go put money in Niger
Republic.
Now, it goes back to what Barrister Matthew had said.
So you have to summarize now.
Yes, it's about interest. So the interest of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the NIGERO, and the IA is the issue.
Okay.
And that's the people.
Do you have a counter reaction to what he has said?
Very well.
All right, please go ahead.
The Constitution provides for party politics. The Constitution says you cannot contest election unless you belong to a political party, and you'll be fielded by that party. And on the day of election, you'll be given a ballot paper. There'll be no name there. There'll be no picture of candidate there. There will only be symbol of the party. So Nigerians should key into voting for political parties. This is the political party symbol that will be in the ballot paper. There will be no name. But we are misinterpreting it. Some people are thinking that a candidate going for election is an independent candidate. There's no room for independent candidate. You must belong to a political party and be fielded by that party. And the ballot paper will have symbol of parties, not individuals.
But these days, it's like the narrative have changed about Barrister Adams Aliu. Some people are saying we are no longer interested in the political party. We want to vote individuals. We want to vote individuals.
Will there be names of the pictures of the candidates in the ballot paper?
Okay, let's take your response.
No,
Are you okay? Let's still have the floor.
Of the candidates and the ballot paper.
No, there won't be names. It's just the symbol of the political party.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's quickly take your reaction.
In every electoral contest, world over, it is the candidates that drives campaign. Okay. People are attracted to candidates, not party. When you are talking about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, or they call it that one, his opponent then, Hillary Clinton, it was basically between the two. Okay. We're talking about Joe Biden and Trump. It was between the two. Even though they are on the platform of Republicans and Democrats, the candidate is the real thing. When Mandela was on the ballot, this is Mandela. Awolowo was an issue. That's how it is. That there is a platform doesn't mean that the candidate is inconsequential. Okay. Candidate is the face of the party. Okay. In an electoral contest. There is no way you will not be. Manifesto is just like a document.
Individual or
Barrister Adams,
listen,
wrap up now.
Let me finish.
Okay.
It is the candidate that is sworn in after election.
Okay.
The candidate that give second control, not the party. So candidate is like the person on the track, the athlete on the track, representing a nation.
All right.
Amusa won. for Nigeria.
This one is on a lighter note. Maybe we would have had Barrister Adams in between the two of you, okay? It's like there's a flow between Comrade Solomon.
No, he was talking about independent candidates
this morning. No, maybe we would have had Barrister Aliu in between the two of you. All right, let's come back now to Barrister Aliu quickly. Now, the Electoral Act has been signed. Do you think anybody can rig the elections, considering the fact that we've seen cases where elections have been rigged? The late president, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, he actually made a statement. He said the election that brought him into office wasn't free and fair. But he will ensure that there will be free and fair elections in the country. And we saw that played out anyway to an extent. But do you think with this current Electoral Act, as a constitutional lawyer,
yes,
is there
the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, we should be optimistic and be patriots. Let us give it a try without always thinking of retroactive, multiplicative, negative interpretations. So right now, you cannot rig, you cannot snatch ballot pieces, because immediately you are voting, the result is transmitted in the diaspora immediately. Yeah. Everyone will write it down.
You agree with this?
Yes.
So the power of incumbency will not play out in the election?
Not likely.
Not likely.
Not likely.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
No, yes,
Expatiate.
Yes, when I say not
that's
likely.
why an incumbent lost in it.
Yes.
Okay.
When you say not likely, it means because in Nigeria, it's only in Nigeria, monkeys can steal money, snakes can swallow money, rats can drive and sack an officer from the office. Only in Nigeria. So, you know, when we say it's likely, tomorrow you may hear that the server is hacked, and that becomes another issue. So, we are optimistic that following strictly the rules as it is today and as it stands, very most likely rigging will not take place.
Okay, let me throw this question now.
Because we are in Nigeria, we cannot authoritatively say, I'm sure that is the collective opinion here, we cannot authoritatively say that anything cannot happen, but we are optimistic that something good.
Barrister Matthew, you concur to that statement? Is there any lacuna there?
I want to say, rigging under this system is rigging proof. There was a lot of input made into this Electoral Act by a civil society group, and it was a very perfect job they did. That is why incumbency factor is to the extent that people love you. If you are hated or you are not popular, you will lose. It happened in Osun State. It's going to happen at any other stage of the election, because if you say the server had issues under the Electoral Act, that result cannot flow. You must fix the issue, or there will be a rerun in that area. It must confirm. It must comply with the Electoral Act. Every exercise that you take now. For instance, at the end of every voting process in every unit, it is counted. Everybody has results, and what you are transmitting must correspond with what everybody got. It can't be different. So you can't even manipulate the server. Okay. If you manipulate it, it will now have a different result from all of us had. Voters saw the result, so you're going to face problem at the tribunal.
Already you have people monitoring.
Yes, the result there. So they compare notes. How we have 300 votes here for A and 200 for B. So how is it now about 500 there? So it is the original one that should supersede whatever they manipulate.
Okay. All right, let me come to Solomon. With the body language of Mr. President, it seems he's not really interfering in most of the elections, we've seen. Now, do you think this will be a kind of major problem for the ruling party? For instance, there are many problems going on currently. We see PDP, the Wike and Atiku Swift, which is still ongoing. And in the APC, the Muslim ticket is still a concern for some parties, member. Now, do you think that a major force might emerge come 2023 with the body language of Mr. President?
The body language of Mr. President cannot be trusted. It's like a camel. You can change at any time. You ask me what I'll tell you.
Why?
For instance, we're in this country where Mr. President had ordered an inspector of police to go to troubled zone in this country. And a few weeks later, I was still seen attending meetings even with the presidency. And when he was asked, he said he's not aware that he didn't go. It happened once, it happened twice. Just about a week or two ago, we also aware that Mr. President came and said he's now giving free powers, you know,
for the military
to act. He said full freedom. And
within that 2 weeks, we've seen results.
He said full freedom. Whereas every day, Mr. President had always assured us that the military was on top of the matter and that they are giving them instructions to that effect. So I'm just only using that to buttress the fact that for some of us who may not really want to trust the body language of Mr. President. However, it's been fair in the area of interference, fair. We are not sure how it will look like, especially when Mr. President had made certain careless comments, so to speak, especially telling a certain presidential candidate that I will hand over to you. It's heavy. And somebody said, no, it's an aspiration. No, there are certain comments that public officers are not expected to make.
Don't you think that was an oversight from him, or?
Too sensitive to be an error. Too sensitive. But, like Master Matthew rightly put it, we have so much confidence in the new electoral acts. We have so much confidence in the power of the people that Nigerians too have woken up. If you look at the registration exercise recently, like Mr. Adams Aliu said, because they had of a name and they were all coming out. Yes. And we have also agreed that elections and everything and almost anything you do have certain interest, and it's like an interest-driven thing. People, Nigerians, we think, are really ready to speak and speak loud and louder this time. So, bearing that in mind, believing too that with the new development with the Electoral Act, the votes of Nigerians are really going to count, and it's going to make a difference. So, whether there's a body language to the negative or a body language to the positive,
of no effects.
It really won't be of effect.
I wouldn't want to take Barrister Matthew's comment. Let me come to Barrister Aliu. I have a question for you. Now, we wake up to issues of this insurgency. It's like the activities of this bandit has overshadowed other form of crime. Now, do you think this administration can tackle this bandit before the election? Because we need security to vote. What's your take?
We are aware that Section 14 sub 2 specifies that the essence of governance is to ensure security and welfare. But with the facts on ground, the government has turned deaf ears to the security menace. And when we are told that bandits have superior weapons, I don't know where they were trained, but I know that to be a soldier, to be a policeman, you undergo series of training. Officer cadets, you go to NDA, Defense Academy, for 5 years. But we are now being told that a group of people with low organized training, they have weapons. So there must be complicity somewhere. Some forces are backing these bandits that supply them with materials and give them military training. But as pacifists and patriots, let us still give this administration a chance that they will rectify the anomaly before they exit in May.
Okay, Barrister Matthew, we'll quickly start wrapping up now. Some people are of the opinion that the president should address the nation as far as security matters is concerned, because we're yet to see a national broadcast to that effect. And some people are of the opinion that the president should address the citizen. Do you think is out of place, or is that what we need now?
Nigeria is under attack. We are under siege from every front. President is not supposed to be compelled to address his people. It is his responsibility, constitutionally, to address people in times of major crisis. Even in times of peace, there should be communication between leadership and the led. So the president is not being dragged like a horse to the water side to come and take water. It's an aberration. It is a very sad tale in our national history that we don't have a president that will drag to talk to us. We didn't vote for a mute president. We voted for a president that will lead us. And you can't lead without communicating. A commander-in-chief cannot lead the troop without giving commands.
Okay.
So how can he be sincere and he doesn't communicate?
Okay.
That is why things are going terrible.
Okay.
A president who is, what do they call it? A president who is detached from the reality and the people.
Okay, so there's no connection between
There's
the
no connection, and that is the crisis
and
we are
masses.
facing.
All right, final. Let me take this final question, and it's going to go to Solomon. Now, the youth clinched 75% of the total votes, total registration, all right, according to INEC data, statistics. Do you think this will have any effect in the forthcoming election?
Of course it will.
Okay.
Of course, because if you look at the voters' registration, it's been youth-driven.
Okay.
You saw for the first time youth celebrities. I chose to use youth celebrities because there are some celebrities who are in their numbers, age.
It is.
I didn't say that. You know, are the ones now driving. Do you know how much it takes or it costs to carry people like P-Square?
To have a concert.
Yet they do that for free. They did that during the registration process. They went to meet INEC to say, come to this area, we'll be there live. They make broadcasts, they did social media. And if you look at the registration process, it was you driven, social media driven, and people are interested in elections now.
All right.
That amount and accounted for the numbers. If you look at it, the number of elderlies and all that, but we talk about it.
75%.
So it means that they are more interested, they have woken up, they are ready. And if Mr. Adams Aliu feels that it is because of a name, it's a welcome development for Nigeria.
All right, this one now, it looks like a challenge to me. But however, this is where we are going to be drawing the curtain. Thank you so much, Barrister Adams. Thank you, Comrade Solomon. Thank you, Barrister Matthew, for coming through. I will quickly take a short pause now while we join Solomon Aina for the breakfast segment. Please don't go nowhere.